Oh well. I'm Gerard Franklin. I am the writer and director of the film Talk Me Off the Ledge. It's a film about the negative stigma around suicide. And my experience with suicide for myself really began in middle school when I was extremely depressed and had suicidal thoughts. And I believe that that experience is still very much a part of who I am as a person. Um, I can remember days where I would cry myself to sleep and just be depressed, lay in the bed, and just drag or mope to school. Um, it was almost like I put on a mask to operate, and when I got home with the lights off, laying in bed, I finally got to take off my mask and let my emotions out. And so I began to think about, what caused me to be in this situation where I was depressed and felt like I had nowhere else to go. And the short answer was I did not know there was other places to go from being in that position. Talk Me Off the Ledge, very simply, is a movie about the negative stigma around suicide. My hope is that through the film, we will begin to look at people with mental health issues differently. Because, yes, people who have mental health issues need to be served and helped. And you can see that through our media, especially in the black community, we're beginning to do that or bring awareness to mental health. Many sports players have begun to say, hey, look, I've been depressed, I've been sad, I have needed help, I've been going to therapy. And even now, entertainers are doing that. I know that in the black community, we initially, or my experience was depression, anxiety, things of that nature were a white person's or a rich person's problem because we were too focused on trying to survive to focus on our emotional state. The truth of the matter is the issues were still there. We just were either too prideful to address them or too ignorant to notice them. And whatever the cause was is not the concern. Whatever the cause was wasn't isn't the concern. The point is, here we are now, understanding that mental health is very important to our lives as Americans, as our lives in our communities, and we can't support people properly unless we address our mental health issues. That's the first part. But the second part also is, if I have a friend or family member who has mental health issues, how do I support them? How do I step in line with them and make sure that they're going to be okay? What are those steps I need to take to make sure that someone who is depressed, someone who is frustrated or can't see a way out, I can be there and support. And that's the goal of this film, is to get us to begin to think about those things. By no stretch of the imagination is this a clinical approach to suicide or clinical approach to therapy. This is us to create perspective in our lives and apply it to the film and apply it to this character to say, hey, look, we're all the same. We all have the same issues. We all have the same problems. It's just about how we handle them. And so my hope is that through the film, one, we get to bring some awareness to mental health in the black community, but in America as a whole as well as saying, hey, look, this is how we should not handle it. So for me, experiencing suicidal thoughts and feeling so negatively about living, it allowed me, when I look back at the time, to have an idea of how someone would feel if they were suicidal, and if they had some mental issues that they had not addressed or had not been able to work completely through. And so what I was able to do with Talking Me Off the Ledge is take pieces of who I am as a person and apply it into the three people who were being counseled in the film. And also I was able to apply a portion of who I was into the person who was counseling. Looking at myself like that to apply four different parts of my personality into four different characters really was therapeutic when I think about it, because it allowed me to get who I am out in different ways, but also it allowed me to be a little bit more authentic in the way that I feel about certain things. For example, as you watch the film, you'll begin to see reactions that certain people have and actions that they take that, in our society, you may suppress or you may not let out. You may think about it but not do it. But the beauty of writing a film is that you create the world and you build the consequences outside of your own life. And so that was really, really fun for me to do that. And even looking at the instability of each character and being able to embellish, of course, but put a part of my own struggle out on paper was very freeing for me. It allowed me to see me, and then hearing each character, each of my actors talk to me while we shot and things of that nature about what they thought of each character was also interesting. While writing the film, I immediately or initially thought I was going to be making a web series and I would be able to take my time doing about 10 to 12-minute episodes. I was going to take my time and develop each character slowly and let us go to the journey of why is the main character here? Why is each person who's being counseled here, from why they wanted to kill themselves to how they did it, and then the journey back to being healthy. Unfortunately, I realized throughout the process of getting my actors that I did not have them for long enough to do a web series. An interesting story, though, was when I initially started shooting this film, it being my first real project of some length or of some girth, I'll say. So I imagined, I have 4 characters. I want to do 30 minutes film or get 30 minutes of airtime. If I record each scene 4 times with an occasional retake, maybe I would still be around for 2 hours of recording. And I was not by any means able to do that, but I thought I could, and understanding that if it takes me 30 minutes to shoot for one person and I got to do 4 shots, let's say, if I do 30 minutes of this airtime and I switch over to the next 30 minutes and the next 30 minutes, that's 2 hours 4 times. If you do 30 minutes 4 times, you allow for mistakes and things like that. You say, okay, well, at least that's 4 hours. I could do a little bit more if things go right. But I was sorely mistaken. It takes a lot of time, one, to set up. It takes a lot of time to make sure everyone is prepared. It takes a lot of time to get sometimes one take correct. That being said, I appreciate you sitting down with me. And I hope to catch you in the next video.